We're so smart because we're talking about dumb money now. It's not even all over the country yet, all over the world yet. It's trickling out to theaters here and there, but we've got a quick review for you now. Alonzo and Christy here. If you've not subscribed yet, we would love to see you because fall movie season's coming, and I have this totally arbitrary hope of reaching 25,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're really, really close, you guys. We're like inches away. So we'd love to have you join us and be a part of things around here at our little film community. Alonzo, what is Dumb Money about?
Yo, what up, everybody? Roy and Kitty here. I'm gonna pick a stock and talk about why I think it's interesting, and that stock is GameStop.
So it's the latest from Craig Gillespie, who loves to tear from the headlines. He, did I, Tonya and Pam and Tommy, which we talked about on our Patreon. So this is about the whole GameStop stock situation where a bunch of online investors, regular folks who are not affiliated with, brokerages or whatever, went all in on buying GameStop stocks. It's a lot of things in one sentence. Mainly driven by a guy named Keith Gill, played by Paul Dano, who did a lot of videos sort of suggesting that he thought that it was a company that had higher value than people expected, and also that making it successful would be a way to stick it to the hedge funds that were trying to short it and were predicting that it would fail. And so it became this crazy online grassroots thing, very kind of tied into the pandemic. And it did indeed cause trouble for some hedge funds. The hedge fund guys here are played by Seth Rogen, Vincent D'Onofrio, and
Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman, thank you. Who the real hedge fund guys wish they looked like those guys. We also get Sebastian Stan as the CEO of Robinhood, which was an app that people were using to buy stock. And then we also kind of cut away to regular folks who got caught up in this frenzy, including America Ferrera playing a registered nurse. This movie has very much the shape of The Big Short in that it is sort of explaining these complicated financial concepts and taking you to like the big players, but then also the small players who get kind of caught up in the wave of it all. The title refers to apparently among the Wall Street fancy folks, dumb money is when folks like you and me decide they're going to actually invest in the stock market. What idiots we are. But this is actually a story about the little guy kind of coming out on top. Will it ever happen again? Probably not, because the system is rigged against the little guy. And I think the movie tries to paint too nice a picture at the end on the ongoing impact of this particular incident. I suspect that the rigging remains in place and will always be there. But this is, entertaining, and there's some fun performances along the way. I don't think it lands as solidly as The Big Short does, just because not all of its parts are created equal. There are some of the subplots where you're sort of like, okay, whatever. And like the hedge fund guys, not that they deserve any kind of compassion, but they could have just been portrayed by puppets, frankly. They contribute so little, as opposed to like America Ferrera, for example, like her character, you actually follow through this. And Paul Dano and as his ne'er-do-well brother Pete Davidson are a lot of fun to watch. So there's things about this that I like, but I don't know that it all works. What was your take?
I disagree that the hedge fund guys could have been puppets, because I think what Vincent D'Onofrio brings to it is constantly unexpected. Whatever highs and lows are going on with the market in general and with this stock in particular, because he's so ridiculously wealthy. He's like worth $16 billion and he has a pet pig that he throws food to. I think what he brings to it, there's something in his delivery and in his presence that is that imposing weird Vincent D'Onofrio thing that he can do. So that was, I thought, useful. And I enjoyed Seth Rogen in this role as well. So I enjoyed this a lot because in a lot of ways it's so different from at least the last two Craig Gillespie movies we have seen. It's not like Cruella. It's not like I, Tonya, which I love I, Tonya. I love Cruella. I don't love Cruella, but I feel like he, in those last couple of films, got a reputation for being kind of Scorsese light, because there's this like frenzy to the energy, and there's the whip pans and the needle drops, and there was, I think, trying to create that same kind of Scorsesean energy. And here he kind of slows down and is a little more low key, and it's a little more intimate and personal, and that works for this. And yeah, the comparisons to The Big Short are inevitable because it is kind of covering similar complicated territory. Like, I don't totally get all this stuff, but he makes it accessible by showing us through the eyes of these people And because it's the pandemic, it all happened so recently, we can put ourselves right back there and go, oh God, yeah, I remember those days of like being home all day. And how do you pass the time? And like, then you go out and you have lunch, and do you wear a mask and all of that? So I feel like they immerse us in that not so distant time capsule effectively and efficiently. Everyone's really good in this. If anything, there's maybe one or two subplots too many. Like Anthony Ramos as a regular GameStop employee gets kind of short shrift here, and I always like his presence. I like America Ferrera a lot here. She's having a great couple of months here.
I think we could have lived without the UT girls. I don't know that they like bring a whole lot to this necessarily.
The only thing with them is that they represent like kids with a ton of college debt.
Yeah. In their 20s and already like six figures underwater. Yeah.
Yeah. And like that's who's using like TikTok and Reddit, I feel like a lot of the time. And so that, I agree, there's not a whole lot to them, although I like both those actresses.
Sure,
but that you could have, I guess, maybe not had that whole subplot and this still could have worked. So yeah, I like Paul Dano in it a lot. I feel like they really effectively cut between these actors portraying these real life people and then the news footage and all the memes, all the kitty memes. Like that's always entertaining. that meme, one of our favorite memes right here with the cat's like bobbing its head to different music. It's one of our absolute favorites. It's funny every time. So I feel like it's so much that took place during the pandemic. When we go back and revisit it through film or through TV, it's like, oh God, I don't want to remember this. But this didn't feel quite so miserable because there's this collective galvanizing feeling of hope, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, it definitely was this moment where I think people, made a difference. And my suspicion is that whenever that happens, the laws and the rules get changed to make sure that doesn't happen again. And I suspect that's probably what's been happening here. But the movie sort of leaves like, oh, but never again would they discount the online users, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, if you say so, movie.
But when you see from the title cards what actually happened at the end here,
yes,
there's still work to be done.
No question. Yes. And I'll tell you, I'm kind of fascinated with how the whole COVID period is covered in film and TV, because I feel like you have so many things that are so actively ignoring it. Like there were so many TV shows that were just like, no, if this ever happened, we're not dealing with it at all. And then other ones that really kind of leaned into it. And I mean, did you ever watch Connecting, which was like that? It was like a 6-episode sitcom that was all about the pandemic. It was all about friends talking via Zoom. No. It was really good. And I liked it a lot. And it was just this weird blip on the cultural radar. I don't think many people watched it. And like, I don't even know if you can rent it now, but it was just so about right now. I was fascinated that it even existed. And so I do find that part of it really interesting. And I'll be curious to see what the next decade brings us in terms of people addressing what 2020, 2021, were like. I found myself feeling like a stock market chart in that, like, I was really into it and then I was kind of like less interested. And then I was up, so, it's a mixed bag, but it's trying for something, and it has its moments for sure.
What's your number?
6.5.
Okay. I'll say 7.7. You guys always ask, how do you get to your decimals? I don't know. It's a gut feeling in the moment.
Exactly.
Could have been 8, could have been 6. 7.7. So Dumb Money is kind of trickling out there the next few weeks. So check it out and let us know what you think.